Toastmasters, and specifically area governors or area directors, district directors, and people that are putting on their first club contest, or not even club, you're putting on a contest outside of the club. This is maybe your first time. I want to speak with you about just some things I learned when it comes to putting together a club contest, whether it's at the area level or the district level. I did it at the area level. So first of all, I'm Jackson 360, that's Dwayne Jackson. And I'm based out of Chicago, Bold Literary Talkers at 708-973. And I've been a Toastmaster since 2010. And so let's get into the meat and potatoes. So I was an area director for about a year or two. And one thing I learned is that you want to have some good communication with whoever the team is, the leaders above you. So that would be like the division directors or your district directors, district governors is what they used to call them. You want to have a good communication with them. And you also want to have good communication with the other directors that are on your level too. So if you're area director, because when you're good or have good communications with these other area directors, you can learn from them and y'all can potentially collaborate on the events that y'all do. Because when you do a contest, you may not necessarily get the support that you need. You may not have enough judges, or you may not have enough resources for whatever reason. So what you could potentially do is there might be another area director who's close to you, and you all can do a combination, what do you call it, a contest. So that way it could be, your contest and their contest could all go down at the same time. All right. But of course, if you do that, you would have to definitely make sure everything was split. And I'll talk with you a little bit about that if you want to know more details about how to do a combined event. But that is very possible. It's something to think about if you are low on resources and time and low on, help. Next thing, when it comes to if you are a director, officer outside in the district, it's very important that you find your location as soon as possible. You want to find that location. And usually if you talk with whoever the past officer was who had that position, ask them, like, what tips would you recommend? They'll probably tell you to make sure you get an assistant, get somebody who can help you because you're going to be busy. Your assistant can maybe go to certain meetings that you can't go to because you're supposed to visit every club at least twice. You got to communicate with the clubs about all the club news. So you might need an assistant, somebody that can represent you when you're not available. So keep that in mind. Get you an assistant, somebody that wants to help. Also, talk with the past director or officer because they can even tell you not only tips, but they can share with you things like venues that they worked with. Because when you're putting on your club contest, you're going to need a venue. And instead of looking for a new venue, you can say, hey, what venue did you all use last year? And okay, you guys use the police station. Okay, we're going to do something at the police station, or we're going to do our event at the library or at the college or at the bank's community room. It's so many different places depending on where you live. I know in Chicago we had a lot of different options. So, brainstorm on that, but you got to get your venue as soon as possible. That's super important. Then you have to get your judges. And remember, your judges are going to have to be trained. Typically, I believe you need, and this is where you want to check in with your district directors and get help. I forget how many exact judges you need. I think it's maybe about at least a minimum of like 5, I believe, but check with them. But you need a certain requirement of judges. They all have to be trained. You're definitely going to need the contest chair, which is most likely you. And then you're going to need your chief judge. The chief judge is going to split up those ballots. Then you're going to need all of your ballots. You're going to make sure, the ballots are what they're filling out to do their votes on. You're going to make sure that you have those sign-up sheets for all the contestants. They need to make sure they sign those waivers that they're certified. Also, you want to make sure that the contestants fill out the paperwork regarding their interview, so that way you can do a good interview with them at the end. That's very important. You want to print out certificates as well. Print some certificates with their names on it. If you can't print them, you got to print them. You can print them. I mean, you can write them with a marker, but you want them to look as nice as possible. So I'm not going to give you any shortcuts with that. So make some really nice certificates and awards. Make sure you speak, like I said, speak with your judges, speak with the contest. Now, it's also important that your contest chair speaks with the contestants in advance. Meaning you got to brief them. So you want to do a briefing so that they do the speaking order. You want to know what your speaking order, let them know what the contestants know what the speaking order is beforehand. After they know the speaking order, you're going to brief them and say, hey, this is your requirements. You can't speak. You got to speak within, from this spot to this spot. You can't go past this. Is the speaking area. You got this time requirements, 5 to 7 minutes or whatever that time may be. This is the timer station. This is how the timer is going to time you. And make sure that your, Sergeant at Arms is also available, and they know what they have to do. And Sergeant at Arms will escort people in and out of the room depending on the contest that you're in. Make sure your room is comfortable. You want to have refreshments. You want to have drinks, and if you can, by drinks I do mean water refreshments, not alcohol. Also, you want to have things like it's little small things you can also bring because you want to know, like, district news. So there may be stuff going on in the district. So have someone there to make a district announcement. If there's some community information that's important, have that available so people can, because you want to invite people from the community to come. Use this as a recruiting opportunity, not just a contest. So if you want outside public people to come in, make it valuable for them to come outside of them just seeing a speech contest. Say, hey, let me, share an article or something that's going on in the community. So these are just some things that you can do as the contest chair. I know I'm probably forgetting some things. I just wanted to share some stuff at the top of my head while it's fresh on my brain. And so the main thing is just make sure you tie in close to a support system with your other directors, and then the directors, the officers that are above you as well. And you should be perfectly fine as long as you prepare ahead and you keep good communication with everyone who's involved. And just don't panic. Don't panic at all. And make sure you get your trophies. You should be picking those up at whatever those area meetings or those district meetings that you guys are having once a month, or how often you all are having those. You're going to get your trophies and all that other good stuff. And then you want to set aside a budget too. Create a budget for your actual contest, because you got to figure out a way how you're going to finance and have refreshments and things there, which is another good benefit of when you do a collaborative event. When you do a collaboration with another, another area, what happens is, and usually they only do that at the area. You can only do it then, because once you're at the district level, you're not going to do 2 districts together. That's not going to happen. But the division level is very unlikely that's going to happen too. Then plus now the competition is like the contestants are seeing each other, so it's probably only going to really happen at the area level, if it happens then. And if this is a club event and this is just a club contest, I want for you all to know that you can go by all of the same rules that the district does, but you can also modify things a little bit. It doesn't have to be as formal in your club. Just make sure that if you're, say for instance, you don't have enough people to compete in your club contest, then you can have, y'all just select somebody and say, hey, you're going to represent us, but they still need to give that speech, and they still need to be evaluated, and they still need to make sure they meet the time requirements, because they're still competing against the clock. So I'm just going to keep this video short. I could keep going on, but if you got more questions, leave that in the comment section, and I'll be happy to answer them. Again, I'm Dwayne Jackson, your platform partner. If you got more questions about public speaking, you can also look at the links below. I do have books, and I have my school where I really teach public speakers and professors and just anybody that's on the stage on how to help people transform and how to sell on the stage and overcome their fears.